Right, welcome back. You're watching or listening to me, Patrick Christys, on GBNews. Now, at 5 o'clock, with Suella Braverman apparently authorised to float the idea of leaving the ECHR, I will ask, why do so many people say it's a bad thing? It's not like we're going to turn into Belarus overnight, is it? Or is it? Now, if I told you that an adult had wanted a school to sign a gagging order, well, you'd be shocked, wouldn't you? Surely, that's kids. But when that person turns out to be Meghan, well, it's not that much of a surprise, is it? Her PR team reportedly asked a New York school to agree not to make any negative comments about Meghan or Harry. It came before she read extracts from her book to a class of 7-year-olds back in 2021. Joining me now is royal commentator Angela Levin. Angela, this seems a bit... I mean, you know, asking kids to have some kind of gagging order, surely not.
Yes, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, my view is that people who ask for that either have no confidence in themselves or they really know that they're doing something very wrong. Otherwise, it's ridiculous. I think it's very cruel. And actually, if you try to stop children saying anything, or I don't like this book, and it was a rubbish book, why shouldn't they be able to say that, surely? You know. But the other thing, the whole visit made you shiver because she turned up in a jacket which was, I think it was about £5,000.
Right.
You don't go showing off, and lots of Cartier jewellery. It's not really done, is it? Plus, she asked for blue cushions to be provided and a new blue carpet because she likes that around her. That's her way of doing
this to meet kids at school, yeah?
This is the thing.
So she wanted them to recarpet the school,
yes.
From what you understand?
No, to put a recarpet in the room that she's in,
okay,
with the cushions, because that's what she liked. So this was one of the most difficult schools in Harlem that had no money. And that's what she insisted, in obviously a diva-like way, that they would actually do that for her because that's what she was doing, the privilege of hearing her book. I mean, the book was completely unsuitable for 7-year-olds anyway, because it's all about benches. I don't know any child who's interested in benches age 7. And it was badly written in English, actually. It wasn't good English.
OK. And so you think that this is what? It's an example maybe of her being a bit of a diva? I suppose from her PR perspective, she would say, well, look, you know, we didn't want the gotcha moment of someone walking up to a 7-year-old and that 7-year-old saying, I didn't really like this book, you know.
Well, I think you could learn from that, actually. You can say to the child, it's OK, tell me what you didn't like, and next time I'll try my very best and put in what you like. I mean, that's how you respond. You don't stop them saying anything. I mean, you know, it is free speech for small children, just as it is for older ones. It's a very bad habit to get into, that you won't allow people to criticise you. You won't allow people to say they don't like you. I mean, they're not going to likely to do that in her face, but they're not allowed to do it anywhere at any time, forever.
Do you think that maybe she's so afraid, or Harry's so afraid, because they've taken so much criticism? Many people, of course, will say they've brought a lot of this on themselves, don't get me wrong, but they've taken so much criticism that now they're so hyper-vigilant about it that they think, oh, well, we've just got to gag everyone, it's all got to be completely staged, it's all got to be completely PR managed.
But we're talking about 2021. I mean, they just left. They should have been over the moon. They got what they wanted, a big house, one child, another one on the way. You know, people were listening to them. It was only some time after they had their interview with Oprah Winfrey that people started realising what they said wasn't always true. Far from it in several things. So they weren't in the state that they are now, where they've had a lot more criticism. We're going back a year. And to do that, to stop... Well, also the children, I mean, shocking. And the teachers, it's not a way you teach children how to behave, that, you know, you say you're not allowed to say anything nasty about this person. Why not?
I think as a child, I would have found that incredibly weird. If someone had walked, even as a 7-year-old, I think if someone had walked in and said, here's a lady who, let's be honest, you're not going to really know who she is, right? Here's a lady now to read you a bit of a book
that she's written.
That
is very poor English.
You might notice
grammar.
The new carpet that we've laid out here and the blue cushions.
For this very special lady.
For this very special lady who's turned up dripping in expensive jewellery and all of that stuff. And whatever you do, don't say anything bad about this book. I think I would have probably found that quite odd.
Yeah, but I would have decided I didn't like the lady who said that to me, that I'm not allowed to dislike her. You know, I think a lot of children would take absolutely the opposite way of speaking, that if somebody said, you know, you're not allowed to say anything about her, you know, why not? They want to.
Yeah.
Or were they very scared? Why would you want to frighten them for something like that?
Yeah, I do find it bizarre, really.
I think it is that they've got a conscience about how they are. They won't let anybody know it, and they've got to continue on that same platform. But actually, you know, you want people to like your book. It's a terrible book. But even if you want them to like it, you can't, you know, stretch their necks so they can't say anything. You have to take the good and the bad. That's what book reviews are all about. These children were just giving their response as a book review.
Yeah, I mean, you've written books. Would you ever have gagged children to not be able to criticise it?
I wouldn't gouge anyone. If somebody says something that's not very nice about it, you have to swallow it. You have to see if they're just being spiteful, if they're actually right, and try and do better next time. You can't stop people what they feel, but I think it's a very, very bad example for children.
I thought that Harry potentially now is on a little bit of a high because he's had the Invictus Games and it seems to go quite well for him. You're shaking your head. Go on.
Yeah, I'm shaking my head because I think he puts on that show. But if you saw him when they went to another thing, I can't quite remember what the name of it was, but he was terribly worried about Meghan and he was asked to hold a mic and he didn't want to, so he tried to give it to her, tried to say give it to him, you know, to the man to pass on to Meghan, and he laughed at him and he wouldn't. He did it himself, speaking about some charity.
Yeah.
And he looks terrible. I mean, what he's doing is exactly what the PR would want, I assume, Meghan to be. Super happy. Everything's lovely. I've changed. I'm not looking back at the past. I'm now going for the future. I'm going to do wonderful things in the future. And of course, Harry and I are absolutely lovey-dovey. But Harry's desperately trying, or he's just being told what to do and he's doing it because he obeys her.
Yeah, I mean, you seem actually, Angela, quite worried about Harry.
I am worried about Harry, yes. If you spend 15 months with somebody, you get to know them quite well. And if you know how complicated and difficult life can be for them, you feel very sorry for them. And I was thrilled when he found somebody who would take all the spotlight and who he could be happy with, and that he would settle down. I mean, William had been lucky. He's found Catherine at university, but Harry had loads of girls on the trot all the time. He found it very difficult.
It must have been a nightmare for him.
To be...
Well, I'll tell you what a hard life that is, you know.
But he wanted to settle...
Some guys have no luck, do they? You know?
He wanted to settle down. He wanted to have children. Very good with children. And... yeah, things were difficult.
Okay. All right, Angela, always an absolute pleasure. And to see you looking so lovely as well, Angela. Always a bit of sparkle. There you go. Right.